Welcome back to the channel, guys. Unfortunately, I lost the footage of the intro, so I have to record it like this. Today we're going to compare the both M50 engines that I have, and we're gonna prepare it to swap it into the E28. Enjoy!
I need to stop. I've been doing too much, I've been running too fast, I've been testing my luck. I've been living cloud nine, I've been at it all night, I've been feeling so loved. I've been waking up lit, I've been making up shit, I've been spilling my guts. I've been feeling so blessed, but stressed all day, so what? I'm living out my dreams like every night. I love my life.
We have our two M50s here, both M50 B25. This one from E34, this one from E36. And basically I'm going to switch over all the accessories. This one has all the goodies that I need, like the oil pan that's on the front. And this one is a better engine. It has less than half the miles of this one. This one has 160,000 kilometers. This one over 360,000. Both engines you saw me take out in previous videos. So also we need to change the exhaust manifolds because they're a slight difference. This engine, after it went in my E28, I'm going to put it in the E34. So that's why I need to gather the goodies and the wiring loom from this one and transfer it to this one. Okay, we've taken off the wiring loom and the exhaust manifold. So this engine is actually as good as ready. Still have one more engine mount to do, but it's rusting on it. So I'll do that later. But this one ready for the other loom. So now we're gonna start on the E34 one and swap everything over. Next up, we're going to mount the flywheel, the clutch and the gearbox. I use the gearbox from an E34 diesel. The reason being the first three gears are shorter and the fifth gear is still a long gear. So it's good for drifting, for racing on the track, but also just for cruising on the highway. So I have a flywheel, a single mass flywheel from an M50. It's like only, I think, 2 kilograms lighter than a dual mass. I'm going to weigh it in a bit to see. I want to go for an even lighter one, but like the really light ones from 6 kilograms, they're like 300 euros and I'm not going to pay that much for just a round disc of metal. And I've also heard that for drifting it's actually better to have a slightly heavier one, because for the clutch kicks, if your flywheel is too light, then the clutch kicks won't have much effect. So I'm gonna try and see what works best for me, but for now I'm gonna use a single mass. And when we move on to the next engine, I'm probably going to go lighter. There's another reason I'm going for a diesel gearbox, is because it's a ZF. If you're used to BMWs, you know you have two sorts, Getrag, whatever, and ZF. And usually the ZFs are stronger, they handle more torque. So I think it's a safer choice for racing, for drifting. Okay, so here's the clutch and the flywheel setup. As I said, it's a single mass setup from an M50. It's actually pretty new. It doesn't look like the outside. It was in a... It stayed in a pretty humid environment for a while, but it's just a little bit of surface rust, so that's not really an issue. Alright. So as you can see on the inside, there's a little bit of surface rust here, and I'm gonna go over with a rag. Pretty sure it's gonna come off, but it's pretty much brand new. Then we have the clutch disc with the springs in the clutch disc itself, also as good as new. So that's gonna be fine to use. Here we have the flywheel. So it's a little bit less thick as a double mass, but it's still pretty big. I'm gonna use it like this for now, but I'm maybe going to go to a machine shop and see if they can take material away from the back, as it's pretty it's pretty heavy. So maybe take a couple of kilos off would be nice, but yeah, that's for a later stage. So I'm gonna clean it off now and then put it onto the engine. So we cleaned the flywheel and the clutch. You saw me take off a little bit of the surface rust with a scuff pad. Most of it came off, but I'm pretty sure that well, it's a clutch, so the friction will take off the rest anyway. So I think it'll be good enough like this. As you can see, some stains, but I'm sure it won't matter. So now we can mount it to the engine, and we have to align the clutch, and I'm gonna show you how to do that without a proper clutch tool. This is the special tool. Yeah, so it's a big bolt. It's a big bolt, and basically it has a bunch of tape around it. It's not ideal, but it does the job. So basically you have your flywheel and the clutch and your clutch plate. These splines need to be aligned with the splines inside the engine. Otherwise, the shaft from your transmission won't go in. And it's not a lot of fun when the shaft doesn't go in. There are two parts. So the front, this one, this is how the diameter of the hole inside the engine. So this goes into the engine, and then this part is where your clutch plate goes over. So as you can see, this fits nice and snug in there. So because it's tape, there's still some play in it, because the tape you can squish it. But I never got down to ordering a clutch tool. Don't ask me why, they're not expensive. And they spare you a lot of headaches, but I haven't done it yet. I will soon. So the idea is that you put this inside the engine. Bumped into an issue. On the last engine where I did this was my M52, and this part slides into a hole this size into the block, and then it stays like this, and you can use this to align the clutch. Here there is no small hole apparently, so this is useless. I don't know why. Maybe there's a difference with the automatics. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter for the rest, but so this doesn't fit into a hole. There's no smaller hole. So we're going to align this by the eye. When you put in place your clutch plate, usually it has two sides. You have to see which side goes on which side. And it says here, you can hardly read it, but it says gearbox side. So it has to go on like this. So I'm going to put it in place. It stays. Then we take our clutch, and you see these pins, and you have these holes. So yeah, the pins go into the holes. Usually it only goes on in one direction. So we put the clutch on. Now we're going to thread these in, but only a little bit, because you have to tighten it simultaneously on all four corners. And also we have to line up the clutch. So we have to tighten it just enough to where the clutch plate stays in position. So basically now you look into the engine, and you have to align it by eye. So everything has to be from the same distance all around. It's hard to explain, but Once you've done it one time, you'll understand. So it's looking pretty good like this. So now I'm gonna tighten it the rest of the way, and then it's in place, and we're ready to go. It's a bit dark in here. I closed the gate for the wind. There's a lot of wind today. Here's the engine. We're done with it. Well, we're not done, but yeah, I know it's a bit dark. My excuses for that. As you can see, we've put on the clutch and all that stuff. Still have to line up. Well, see if the gearbox goes on. And I'm still waiting for the engine mounts. They should come in soon. I heard they're at the customs in Belgium, so I hope I don't get any trouble with them. But when they arrive, then immediately we're taking out the M10 out of the E28. And yeah, it's showtime, I hope. I still need to collect a few parts, like the downpipe from an E34 M50 that I'm going to use for the exhaust in the E28. And then I have to see what I have to do with the wiring. But I'm excited.